boys and girls. This is Buckeye Wars. This is a little series I've put together, little snippets, little stories about what it was like growing up in El Dorado Hills, California, back in the 70s and the 80s. Let's talk about Halloween. My friend Rich lived right across the street from me. We lived in a court, and he had a two-story house. We had a one-story house. And his window from his bedroom was on the second floor, and it faced the street. One year we ran a line. I think we might have used wire. I'm not sure, but it was sturdy. From his bedroom window to right outside our front door, and we were able to, with fishing poles and fishing line, rig a ghost that we had slide down from across the street, over the street, and down into my yard. And we had our fishing poles, and we reeled it up, and then we let it slide, and then we reeled it up and let it slide. And we had a little tape recorder inside of it, so it scared the little guys, the little kids, but for the most part, it was just kind of fun and funny. And then I remember one other time where I got a little bit more serious because Halloween was fun. And when I got older, I couldn't really go trick-or-treating and get away with it. I mean, kids nowadays do, but then those days, if you were any older than maybe, I don't know, 9 or 10, they looked at you funny and didn't want to give you any candy, so we got to stay home and hand out candy or go to a party with a friend or something. But this one year, my dad was a big man, or is a big man, and I borrowed some of his old clothes, and I put them on, so they were hugely baggy on me. And I stuffed the pants and the shirt with like rags and stuff, newspaper, what have you. Basically, I made myself look like a scarecrow. And I put on a ski mask, and under the ski mask, I had a pair of like ski goggles. So you couldn't see my eyes, but I could see out. And gloves, like gardening gloves. So basically, there was none of me that you could see. It looked like a scarecrow. And I leaned up against kind of funny looking, like somebody had just put a scarecrow up against a chair on the front porch. And I didn't really sit. I kind of leaned so that it looked like it was just kind of sat there. And between my legs, I had a bowl of candy. And I sat there, and I sat there, and I sat there. And the little biddies would come up with their mom and dad, and I would let them just walk up and take a couple or a handful or whatever of the candy from the bowl and not do anything about it. But the little bit older kids that I knew would come up, and I remember one in particular come up and kind of poked at my shoulder, thinking, wow, look at this scarecrow. He poked at my shoulder and said, they've even got a football up in here. And she was actually feeling my real shoulder rather than a football in there, and thought that I was a scarecrow. So I raised up my arms and scared the living shit out of that girl. It was awesome. But that was a pretty good memory of Halloween. And I remember another year I took black yarn, and we had a great big old tree in the front yard, and straight down from my front door was a walkway, and down maybe 8 feet or so there was another walkway that went to the right, and it went to the driveway. and there was a huge tree in our front yard on that side over there by the driveway. So if you didn't know our area very well, you might walk up the driveway and take that path and come right back to our front door. And sometimes there was uh, kids that would come to our front door up the original path and then come again off of the driveway thinking that there was another house. And so as a result, we'd get the same people twice, one right after another. We were trying to prevent that. So I built a great big spider web off of the tree near the driveway, so you couldn't get to our front door if you come from the driveway. Great big spider web out of black yarn, and I put a couple of big old plastic tarantulas on it, and it looked pretty cool. But later in the evening, somebody stole our black tarantulas off of that spider web, but it was fun. We had some uh, pretty good times for Halloween. Anyway, thank you for joining me, Buckeye Wars.